All right, all right, all right. Welcome to Clozer Cult Podcast. I'm your host, Alma Merrill. Today we have Mr. Tony Acosta. Now, Tony, I just met Tony, and he's running the Utah TedX Timpview Drive. And I have a lot of friends who are going to be on this thing.
Oh, really?
Who are speaking at
I love that. Yeah.
This, like Nuria Rivera.
Yes, we know Nuria.
And I actually just had her on the podcast a little bit ago. And so I'm curious, like, how do you like bring a TEDx to a city? Because that's essentially what you do, right?
Yes. So TEDx is a pretty robust platform. Like, it's a worldwide platform. It's huge. So they have application processes, and you have to go in and interview and see if you have event experience before, and they grant you different kinds of licenses depending on if you've never done an event, if you have done events. But it's a lot of fun, man. I mean, I've loved the whole, Timpview Drive TEDx organization thing. It's been so fun talking to the speakers, hearing their stories.
Right.
It is my new favorite thing to do.
Now, let me ask you this. Is there like a TEDx, and then there's TEDx like different cities? Is that how it works?
So the way it works is there is TED. So
Okay,
TED itself is the mothership. And then TEDx is the local ones. So there's like TEDx Salt Lake, there's TEDx St. George, and there are, TEDx chapters all over the world.
Okay,
Yep.
very cool.
And so what we're trying to do is bring it to Utah County. I was born in Utah County. I'm a Utah County boy.
All right. Hey, Utah County.
Yeah. And so Ogden has a chapter, Salt Lake, St. George. There's been a couple of one-offs in Utah County, UVU, BYU.
Right.
But we're trying to build TEDx Provo. So that's kind of where we're trying to get.
And I like the name Timpview Drive, obviously. Now, how did you come up with that name? Obviously, there's Timpview Drive down in that area, right?
So I went to Timpview High School.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep. And so my first thing was, hey, I want to get TEDx Provo. And like, well, you got to do a couple of first events to see if you're any good at this.
Right.
Eventually, we'll get to the general name TEDx Provo. So we're bouncing off different names. There was the idea of TEDx Provo River.
Okay,
And
right.
we ended up, there was also TEDx Bulldog Drive
Okay.
for Provo High.
For the high school,
And
yeah.
we ended up just choosing Timpview Drive, which for me was cool because I went to Timpview.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Timpview's a cool school. I've been
way
through
cool
there.
school.
Been to a bunch of graduations there and
Yes.
stuff throughout the years. And so TEDx Timpview Drive. And is this this upcoming TEDx talk, or these TEDx Timpview Drive talks? Is that the first one that you're doing since you've organized the?
It's the first one. Yep. So
Okay,
we're doing
cool.
3 events this year. We have March, July, and November. So that next year we can get what's called a standard license for TEDx Provo and have like a full day conference. So for these ones, we're having 6 speakers, maybe 8, maybe 10 in November. But next year, the goal is to have, full day, 28 speakers, breakout sessions, the whole 9 yards.
Okay. And then is there already like a TEDx Salt Lake too?
There is a TEDx Salt Lake. They do a great job. They're well established. They've been around for a long time. There's TEDx St. George. And so hopefully by next year we'll have TEDx Pro. Will be all 3
Well,
of us.
you must be doing something good as far as your marketing, because I've never heard of TEDx Salt Lake.
Really?
But yeah, I've been seeing your stuff everywhere.
No, I
So
appreciate that.
That's
It's
really
fun.
cool. Or maybe we're just, I don't know, maybe we're affiliated with the right,
Yeah.
with the same same people or whatever.
sure.
So I'm surprised I haven't ever met you before in person or before this kind of setup, where we kind of set up chatting over online and that type of thing. But yeah, dude. So tell me also, so you're doing that, and we'll talk a little bit more about that maybe, but also you're doing, you do real estate. You've done real estate for years, right?
I've done real estate for about 10 years now.
Okay, cool.
So just this month was my 10-year birthday in the industry. So yeah,
Nice.
we do real estate also.
And you started a company called, is it 1% List?
1% List here in
Beautiful.
Wasatch Front. Yeah, 1% List Wasatch Front. I started that just about a year ago. And that's been a whole nother thing on its own. It's
How's it?
different from being an agent. And then I was a broker for a couple of years.
Right.
But then owning a company, it's just so different. I had to learn all the back end stuff, like the legal and all these things that I didn't have to worry about when I was just an agent.
Oh, yeah.
Now there's a huge
It's
learning
true.
curve with all of those things. So it's been a lot of fun. I love it. I enjoy it, but it's different for sure.
Do you get a lot of shit from agents?
All the time. All the time.
I'm like, look, guys, everybody has
All
a
the
different
time,
business
yeah.
plan. Everybody has a different method to do. Honestly, when I look at it, if I think it's a smart move, especially if to do a 1% service, because if you're not like dedicated into the agent side of things all day, every day or whatever, or let's say that you're doing a lot of other big things, it may make a lot more sense to have a business like that if you're licensed in real estate, right?
Of course. And the way I see it is all the benefits of tech that realtors use, agencies use, all of those savings have gone, mostly to the brokers, to the agencies.
Right.
What I believe is that those savings for tech within real estate have not yet reached the end consumer in a very real way. And I think that is what's coming. I don't know if it's a 1%. I don't know if it's 2%. I don't know what that looks like.
Right.
But everyone else, whether it's agents when they talk to lenders, buyers, everyone's looking for a deal. Everyone's trying to get the best rates. Everyone's trying to get the best programs. And so I feel that in a very real way, the consumer at some point in time has to also benefit from the tech that we use that makes transacting real estate so much easier than it was in the 80s. I mean, I don't know how people did showings pre-internet.
Right. It's true.
I have no idea, bro.
It was wild.
Wild how you had to map it out. Just when you sit and you think about the complexities of a transaction without the internet, it's wild.
I'll actually tell you how I used to do it, okay? Before the internet had those systems in place, what would happen is they would call us up and I had like the printout of the MLS, right? And on the back of it would have the address of that, or would have a list of people that wanted to see the property. And so we would have the printout on the MLS, the back, and I would carry these with me freaking everywhere I went, dude. And we would put every single agent that wanted to see it, the date they wanted to see it. And sometimes I would have 5, 6 sheets of paper attached to this, and I would have to carry all my listings around
all the time.
Yeah, because I didn't have a system that would manage them.
And I mean, once you go under contract, it was those sheets that you had the white copy and the yellow copy and the blue copy. And all the documents had to be signed. I mean, it was wild to do real estate. So I get it. I mean, I understand why it was a 3% commission, higher commissions. It makes perfect sense because it was so labor and time intensive.
It was a lot more labor intensive. Yeah.
I can sell real estate in my underwear at home, brother.
Yeah.
Like, and I just feel that because technology makes it easier.
You would look fantastic in your underwear at home, bro.
At some point, those savings have to reach the end consumer. And I don't know if it's 1%. I don't know what that looks like, but I feel that has to happen.
And I feel like sometimes, and especially in a market when markets tend to have fluctuations or tank, right? Look, there will always be full service brokerages and agents making, 3, 4, 5, 6% on listings, right? But every once in a while, I'll come across a deal and they have no money and I can't do it for free.
Sure.
I just had Justin Udy on here the other day and he goes, dude, I'm not even in their door at $2,500. And so I can't do it for cheaper, because of the amount of marketing and how we platform the property and stuff like that. So I always tell people, dude, don't bash on the 1% listing companies or the discount brokerages. You may not like them. That's okay. But there is a place in our marketplace for that type of service.
Of course. And I think it also makes the full service agents, the full commission brokerages just have to up their game.
Oh, totally.
Like if you want to charge 3%, go ahead, bro, but you better have something.
Exactly.
Because
you better be at a better value at 3%.
Right. So if someone like Justin Udy says, hey, I have all these marketing platforms, I'm doing something different. Okay, fantastic. I get it. Charge 3% or 4%, or whatever you want.
Yes.
But what I think can happen is just having the same basic service that everybody does. I mean, if you want to charge more, that's great.
Justin Udy was mentioning it the other day. He called it the 3 Ps. You put a sign on the front lawn, you put a lockbox on the door, and then you pray that it'll sell.
And you pray that it's going to sell. Yeah. So it's interesting. And there's a lot of different ways to do it. I think the problem with real estate is that we've gotten into this idea that that's how you do it. There's only one way to do it, and everybody teaches the same thing. But I think that there are variables within that can work for different people.
I think it's smart as heck, dude. I'd be candid. I would do it myself if I was in that, in that scenario. If it was like, okay, I still wanted to utilize my license, but I couldn't go do this over here or whatever, I would. So kudos to you, dude. Don't listen to the haters, bro.
Don't listen to the haters.
or just enjoy the hate,
It's fun. I enjoy it. And I knew what I was stepping into. I mean, just look at Homie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, every single post that they put on Facebook, there's like 97 comments. It's awful. It's like terrible, I literally, dude. Like I believe that there are people that live outside of Homie headquarters and just protest all day.
Totally.
Like it gets that bad. So
they're picketing, dude.
Yeah. So I kind of knew what I was walking into, but at the end of the day, it's all about the end consumer.
Right.
And they'll choose, give them options, and at the end, they'll do what's best for them.
And they'll do what's best for their family, and they'll see where the value is. You know, I was just talking to a client the other day, and she goes, Alma, you know, because we've done probably, I think this is her third transaction with me, or fourth. I think it's her fourth, because we helped them sell, then buy, then sell, then buy, then sell.
There you go.
Yeah. Sell, buy, sell. Buy, sell. So this is our fifth transaction with this client.
That's some lifetime value right there, brother.
It is, dude.
Good job.
And she goes, look, hey, she said, you know what? You bring so much value to my life because I don't have time to deal with any of this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. And her husband's works from home. She's a stay-at-home mom. You would think they'd have all the time in the world, right? She's like, between everything that we do every day, she said, there is no way I'd be able to handle all the stuff that you handle for me. She's like, you're the best value for me. I'm like, thank you. I was like, wow, that means a lot.
There you go. Yeah, so 100%.
Yeah. So I think there's a place in the market for everything on that platform. But I do think at some point it's going to go a lot more tech, and it's going to be a lot lower touch and a lot higher tech.
Yes, I agree.
So 100%. For agents that want to maintain relationships, you got to be high tech and high touch, you know,
which is the hard part.
Yeah.
Both extremes I think are dangerous. If you go all tech and you never talk to anybody and it's just bots, and that's not going to go too well.
All texting and it's all no voice and
So you got to find this happy medium. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've done full transactions where I never spoke to the other agent. I called them.
Isn't that wild?
But I never spoke to them.
Yep.
And then I had my brother who's out in Phoenix, Arizona, and he just rented a house out in Phoenix, and he goes, dude, I never spoke to a human renting this house. I was like, what? He's been there for like 2 years now, I think.
That's
and I'm
crazy.
Like, he goes, dude, their whole system is automated. It's all text and email. I never spoke to a person, nothing. He said, they tell you where to go get your keys, where to send your payment. They give you a code to walk through the house. He's like, never spoke to a human. I was like, whoa, dude, that is
wild. But do you feel like more people are going to prefer that in the future? What do you think? What's your take on that?
You know,
I don't know. It's tough to say.
Some will, some won't.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that's the case all the way across the board. I think at some point, some people will be like, yeah, I have social anxieties.
I don't want to talk to anybody.
Exactly. And that type of system serves them, right? Yeah. But some people like me, dude, I love hearing voices and getting stuff hammered out.
Sure.
Like yesterday with my brokerage Real, which is a cloud-based brokerage, right? I'm going through, I had a little issue with something and I found a way to get a phone number because everything was email, right?
It's tough.
Well, dude, I was illiterate up till the age of 21. So it's like, I don't like doing some things. Like I don't like doing emails. I don't like doing text messages. Thank you to the gods for
shout out to the gods
creating voice to text. Thank you.
Yes, thank you.
Because I freaking hate doing
little texting.
It drives me bonkers, and I have these fat fingers I inherited from my dad. Thanks, pops.
Thanks, pops.
I hate texting with. So. It's like there's certain things about that tech that really are, appealing to me.
100%.
So tell me this, dude, where did you grow up? How did you get into entrepreneurship? How did you go, okay, I want to go kick ass and create some companies and run the local TEDx?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So I was born here in Utah. I was born in Provo, went to Timpview High School, grew up here my whole life. I served in LDS mission.
Oh, nice. Where'd you serve?
In Honduras.
Dude,
yeah,
sweet.
We were out in the jungles of Honduras.
So what language is in Honduras?
Spanish.
Is it Spanish?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
now,
Spanish.
are you a native Spanish speaker or are you?
Yep. So my family is from Mexico.
Okay. I didn't want to assume that you were.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So yeah, I grew up here. I served a mission in Honduras. I came home. I was actually supposed to go to BYU, Idaho, because I wanted to, I always wanted to do something in the realm of sports.
Did you see me racially profile this guy right now?
We're going to get you canceled, brother.
Yeah, let's get cancel.
And I always wanted to be involved in sports. I was a good high school athlete. I played basketball, football, soccer, but I wasn't good enough to play at the next level.
Oh, gotcha.
I just wasn't. I love basketball, but I'm like 5'10", 5'11", and I just was not good enough to play at the next level, but I always wanted to be involved in sports. So my idea was, okay, if I can't play on the team, I'd love to be like on the sports med team or be like a trainer, something like that.
Right.
So I was supposed to go to BYU, Idaho. I had my dorm, I had my schedule, cool, I had everything ready. And just by chance, we run into one of my parents' high school buddies at a burger joint. And he was already a broker. He was doing very well. And he turns to my mom and he says, "Hey, what's your kid doing?" And my mom's like, "Nothing." He's up to no, because she didn't want me to leave again, because I'd already been gone for 2 years and I was set to leave again to Idaho. So she kind of wanted to keep me close. And so he's like, "Hey, you know what? Swing by the office. I got this real estate thing going." So he was starting to get more clients and he needed a showing agent.
Oh,
so
okay.
I go to this meeting. I didn't want to go.
This is actually in Idaho, at a brokerage in Idaho?
No, this is here in Utah.
Oh, this is in Utah. Okay.
Yep. So I came home and then there was like a 4 or 5 week period that I was going to be home before I left to college in Idaho. So I'm here. I go to this meeting. I'm 21 years old. And my mom goes with me to this meeting, bro. Okay. She's dragging me to this meeting at 21 years old. And so I sit there. He kind of tells me kind of what he does. And he says, "Hey, I'll pay you this much. This is how it works. I just need you to go open doors and then let me know. I'll send the offers."
Right.
So I get into it. I start doing it and I got very good at it. And one of the things that I fell in love with was that brokerage still to this day is like 99% in the Latino community.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah. So it's all cool. Spanish speaking. And so in the Latino community, most buyers are first-time buyers or they come from another country and the system's super different. Right. So they're not sure how it works. And so just going through that process of someone that had no idea how to buy real estate and now they buy 1, 2, 3 properties, I fell in love with that and I became very good at it. And so I did that from 2013 to 2017. In 2017, I became the broker of that agency.
Yeah, that's pretty dope, dude.
So that was a lot of fun. But
so
it was
like 4 years.
Yeah, so like 4 years in, I became the broker.
Holy crap, dude!
But
that's cool.
That really changed everything because now it just went from me showing my clients homes to being a broker. So I had to think about training agents and putting on the weekly meetings and building systems for accountability. And so I learned a lot of that from 2017 until 2021 that I left that brokerage and then I started 1% List.
Oh, wow. That's cool, dude. So how has it been for you? Like since you kind of changed the processes, has it been an easy flow into 1% Lists from? It
has been simply because I already know how to transact real estate. The learning curve, the hard part has been all the back end stuff.
Okay.
So that's where I've had to kind of learn of all the other things, whether it's E&O insurance, whether it's the legal, whether it's all of the accounting at a macro business level instead of just my personal taxes.
Right.
So all of those things I have had to learn over the last year. And also just kind of thinking about now I'm in a position where I have to think about if an agent is going to hang their license with me, what value are they getting?
Right.
Especially because there are brokerages like Real. I was a member of EXP for a little bit, and they bring so much value from stock options to the ability to build teams. And so I have to really take a step back and say, okay, how do I build something that can actually be attractive for an agent?
Right.
Which is something that I didn't have to think about before because I was in one particular place. I was the broker. I was in charge of like 20 agents. And then now it's like, all right, how do I build this so that I wouldn't say compete, but so that I can actually feel good about what I'm offering to an agent when they could go to a Real or an EXP or a Keller Williams. Now you have to think about that.
Oh, totally. And so let me ask you this, like what is the structure? Like you go into a seller and you say, okay, here's the structure. Are you offering 2 or 3 to the buyer's agent and then you're receiving 1? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah. So we don't cheat the buyer's agent. Because I was a buyer's agent. I know the hustle. I know the grind.
Right.
So we still try to get the buyer's agent paid.
Okay.
So 2%. I really don't like going below 2.5.
Right.
But on our end, because we have systems, it's a little bit more efficient. We just charge 60% less on our end, but we still want to get the other agent paid. So we're not trying to, because I feel like if I discount the other agent's commission, now I'm doing a disservice to the seller.
Right.
Because there are going to be agents that are going to pass up on that listing because if I offer 1% to the buyer side, some agents, that's just not going to fly.
Yeah. And, and I know some agents that charge 7%, I know one year, was it Justin Udy? It was that he had like over 60 transactions that were 7%. And the highest transaction I've ever had was an 8% transaction or 9% transaction. And it was on this little tiny, cabin down in like Moroni or something.
Wow.
And this guy hits me up. He's like, dude, I want you to sell this. And I'm like, dude, this is going to sell for like 43 grand. Like, I'm not making any money on this. And I said, I've got to charge you a high fee for this, And he's like, dude, do it, just do it. So I charged him that. So that's my claim to fame, was like 8 or 9%. I can't remember what it was.
That's wild.
But I remember the feeling of like, wow, that actually, I added value to his life, and it was fine. But then you look at like some agents like a Justin Udy or whatever that have a full service system that are charging 7%, and their sellers are extremely happy because they got an incredible value. And so I think like I said before, I think there's a place in the market for a 1% list service.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think agents need to stop being upset. Like, guys, don't worry about this. Like, just go run your business, add value for your clients, be the best you can be, and people will still work with you and be attracted to you.
Because the interesting thing is I've had conversations with even brokers, and I explain the model, and they're like, man, that makes sense. I'd love to do that, but I can't. Or even agents, I can't because my broker won't allow me. My split is too high.
Right.
Or, brokers say, I'm just over leveraged. Like, I have these offices, it's $6,800 a month.
Right.
And then I have support staff. So I'm empathetic to that. Like, I get it.
Well, the thing is like our market, there's no set commission for our market. Everything is 100% negotiable. So to say like, oh, I hate 1% listing companies or whatever, discount brokerages, is like saying, oh, I hate that Taco Bell does a 99-cent burrito. And and Beto's does this $7 burrito. Well, it's different. It's a different model altogether. So you don't hate the burrito, baby.
Don't hate the burrito. That is to be on a t-shirt.
There you go. Yeah.
But I think it goes both ways, because in the same way that another agent, a full commission agent, can say, oh, you get what you pay for or whatever.
Right.
In the same way, and this is a mistake that I feel that Homie made, is just trashing on the agents and saying, hey, you're overpaying. They're not worth it.
Yeah,
you're getting scammed. It's too much money. So it can go both ways.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a mistake to trash on anybody, try to bash somebody else's processes. I watched their billboard the other day, and it said like, your agent charges you 30 grand. That's whack. Right. And I'm like, dude, you're never going to get further by bashing people.
I feel that's a big mistake that at least Homie has made, in my personal opinion, of just taking that route. I get why you do it, because it creates a little bit of buzz, but you just poke at that hornet's nest.
Yeah.
And that now all of a sudden you have no friends in the industry.
Right. Yeah, exactly. And it's so sad. Like, sometimes I'll have deals with Homie agents, and I've had some great transactions with Homie agents. And I'm like, this is so-and-so with Homie. Like, are you going to be like, oh shit, another Homie agent? No. Okay. Like,
trying to get a deal done.
You're trying to get a deal done. It's okay. Like,
for sure.
So yeah, but I think that part of our industry needs to adjust a little bit, and people need to be more okay and tolerant with different concepts under our licensing banner, Yeah,
100%. And so I did that 1% list, and then I made the shift. I'm still in real estate, but I started my own podcast. And
so tell us about your podcast. What's it called?
Yeah, so the podcast is called The Ask Tony Show. I've been doing it for about 6 years now.
The Ask Tony Show?
Ask Tony Show.
Oh, the Ask Tony. Okay, glad we repeated that.
Acid Tony Show.
I'm all the acid. You dropping acid, bro?
It's a wild show, bro.
It's wild, dude. We drop acid on every show.
It's on OnlyFans, not on YouTube, guys. Sign up.
You can't find it anywhere else.
Find this anywhere. And so I was invited. Once I started doing that, I was invited to a podcast called the Utah Real Estate Podcast. That's held at Title One.
Okay.
And that was a lot of fun. And during that conversation with Stephanie and Scott that are at Title One, we started talking about how cool it would be to have some sort of networking group for podcasters, because I feel like a lot of people would like to do a podcast, but either they don't know how, or it gets a little bit lonely. And so we started something called the Utah Podcast Coalition.
Or you don't know how to, like, what equipment to use.
Yeah, like the setup you have here. I know you guys can't see it, but this is wild. I mean, this is a very advanced setup, and most people don't even know where to start.
Right.
Like, they don't even know what app to open on their phone to even begin.
Yeah. It was a lot of learning. I'm pretty meticulous about learning things. But I'll tell you one thing though. There's this one guy on YouTube too, and his name is Tom Buck, Tombuck. Mm-hmm. If you guys want to learn about that type of stuff, just in general, he's not he proclaims that he's not a pro, right? But he is so good at going through those things. He's got a great YouTube channel. He's very clear and concise on what what you're looking for. And so I spent a lot of time on Tom Buck's YouTube channel learning what cameras, microphones, board, all, lighting, all that stuff to identify what I wanted in my studio.
Yeah.
That felt like home to me.
Of course. And it's so much work. It's not just turning on the mic. And we were talking about this before. I mean, the post-production or where are you going to post it? Are you going to clip it? I mean, all that. And so we started the Utah Podcast Coalition. And what I realized was a lot of agents started to want to start shows, but they weren't good at communication.
Right.
Like the public speaking side, they just were not good at it. They had to sharpen those skills of the filler words or the getting nervous or the being repetitive.
What do you mean?
Yeah. So I started to see that a lot, and I realized how important it is to learn how to communicate effectively.
Right.
So I really started to study that, and one thing kind of led to the next, and then I started getting involved with TEDx Salt Lake and now TEDx Timpview Drive, because I truly believe that not only in business but just in general, relationships, whatever it is, if you don't know how to communicate, you're going to struggle, brother.
Yeah. And I think that, one of people's biggest fears is public speaking. Fortunately, I've never had that fear in public speaking. Actually, I take that back. I could speak to a crowd of 5,000 people, but then if I spoke in a religious context, like back when I used to go to church a lot, I would speak at church sometimes. And I was so freaking nervous at church, dude. And I think what it was is I just wasn't living my truth.
Sure.
I was putting out something that wasn't fulfilling to me to talk about, or I didn't believe it or something. I don't know what it is. Maybe I should kind of evaluate that a little more and kind of identify actually what it is that caused me to be so nervous in a religious setting, but in social or on stage, or I've spoken to literally crowds of, I think my largest crowd was actually about 10,000 when I was an MC for Red Fest for University of Utah. And one time back in the day, I spoke in front of this crowd and it was freaking wild, but I didn't have any butterflies. I wasn't nervous.
That's so interesting.
It was awesome, dude. Yeah. And so ever since then, and I've spoken to a lot of crowds of like 5,000 and 500 and 200 and 100, right? And it's never been an issue for me, but I feel like I always get a rush from it. Like in my heart.
It feels so cool.
It feels so cool, dude. Cool. I always get a rush, and it's the adrenaline is different than nervous adrenaline.
It is different. You have to experience it. It's hard to put to words, but it's a totally different feeling for you.
It's I think my wife would say it's you're living in your power. And I think that's really what it is. I'm living that. I'm living in my passion. I'm living in my power. I have purpose. I have desire. I want to share. I want to contribute. And I think that's the difference. Is that maybe I just answered my own question. Like, I think when I did it for church, I did it as a duty and kind of didn't really fulfill me. Whereas when I speak for entrepreneurs and salespeople and stuff like that, it's more of a passion.
No, 100%. And so now,
or when I tell my story.
Yeah. Or when you tell your story. Why? Because it's genuine. It's not something that you're doing just because you feel that you have to. And so whether it's a real estate sense or a business sense, how do you communicate with clients? How do you build rapport? I mean, all of these things, from body language, people that are just touching their face all the time, or they don't know what to do with their hands.
No picking your nose when you're on the camera, guys.
So all of those things, from the professional sphere to speaking to a TEDx stage, I've really fallen in love with that process of just helping people. If it's with TEDx, it's only 18 minutes.
Right.
And most people are used to, if you're a speaker, you speak for 45 minutes or an hour or an hour and a half.
I was on your Instagram the other day, and I was watching some of your reels and stuff, some of your posts. And I was like, holy crap, dude, this guy's a phenomenal communicator, because it's very seldom that I come across people that are really great communicators or that can just go back and forth really well. And I have to sometimes drag that out of people when I'm talking to them. And I feel like I was like, wow, this guy's such a good communicator. Your podcast stuff is so good, dude. It's so solid.
And it's so much fun. But the thing is, it's a skill set. It's something that you have to learn.
You can still learn it, right?
You can still learn it. And so many real estate agents want to do Instagram, and they say, hey, I need to do my social media. And if you don't learn how to communicate effectively, even if you script it out or you build your studio and you have everything, if you don't learn how to communicate effectively, it doesn't matter. It's not going to land.
So what do you tell to that person who's like, I really want to, but I'm just really bad at public speaking?
Yeah, I think the first thing is you have to believe in what you're talking about.
Okay. Yeah.
So there has to be some level of self-confidence. And what I always talk about is you got to get over yourself a little bit, because it's not about you. It's about the message. Right. Whatever you're talking about, it's not about you, bro. Especially with TEDx, you could write the best TEDx speech, and if you did it correctly, you could give it to someone else to deliver, and you would be okay with that.
Right, because the meaning got across.
Because it's about the message. It's not about you. There's so many examples of people that go listen to a TED Talk. They don't know anybody on the lineup,
right?
But they know that because it's TED, they're going to be great speakers. And that is the important thing, that it's not about you. So if you're someone that wants to start, and it's not
with about content, the money, right?
No, absolutely not. It's simply about, do you believe what you're talking about? Are you competent? Or do you fall into this fake it till you make it stuff that we always fall into? But
yeah,
you can see that.
Yeah, it's, and I feel like there was a part of me for a long time that was fake it till you make it in real estate. And I feel like, honestly, like a huge portion of my career, probably the first like 6 or 8 years of my career, I was faking it everywhere I went. And I think it was because I came from this environment that I was taught so well to lie from when I was a little kid, that I knew how to lie to myself. I knew how to create like these messages that justified my lies to people and stuff. And so the first like probably 6 to 8 years of my, I've been in the business almost 20 years now. It was a pretty big portion of my business career that I feel like I was just so dishonest in a lot of ways. But I didn't know I was dishonest, because that's how I was freaking. I learned
that's how
it,
you're trained. Like that's just what you do. And so it's very revealing when you put a mic in front of someone, you turn on a camera and they freeze.
Right.
They just completely freeze. And so building that confidence, building up those skills, getting them to practice is so much fun. But I believe, again, in a business sense, but also in a personal sense, one of the podcasts that I do is called the Male Mind Podcast. And we were talking about communication with your partner, communication with your spouse, with your kids. I mean, how do you do that? So many arguments are based off not an event in and of itself, but how you talk to me.
It's pride.
I don't like how you said that.
On your own pride.
Yeah. And so it's just poor communication. So I genuinely believe that if we can improve our communication skills, the returns, not only in a business sense, but in a personal sense, are enormous.
Let me ask you this. What books would you recommend? If somebody wanted to say, because I have a dear friend named John Syatt. Do you know John?
I don't.
He's partners with George Morris over at Century 21 Everest. And he's one of my favorite speakers. You know how some people you listen to and they just click and you love to watch them speak? Like another person like that for me is Justin Nelson over at Real. Dude, I love listening to that freaking guy speak. I love his energy, his passion. Like Colton Lindsay's another one. Yes. I love hearing speak. And so there's just these certain individuals that I just click with so strongly, and I love hearing them speak. So I was talking to Syatt, and I'm like, listen, I love the way that you present and you speak. And I said, but I've known you for almost 20 years. And I said, you used to be a really shitty speaker, And he goes, yeah, I did, Merrill. I call him Syatt. He calls me Merrill, right, by our last names. And I said, so tell me this, what caused you to be so good, or how did you get so good? Because, and he recommended me these, multiple books to read, and then some online stuff to watch. And so, and then he also told me this, and tell me, if you've ever done this, but he said, take your iPad or your iPhone or whatever and record yourself giving a talk or a speech.
Yeah, I've done exercises like that all the time. If we talk about books, one of my favorites is called Crucial Conversations.
Okay.
So Crucial Conversations is a great book. It's not so much about presenting, but it's about how to have high stakes conversations.
Oh, interesting.
And so whether it's in a business sense, in a personal sense, how to have high stakes conversations, I think that is a tremendous one.
You mean not going like, I don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
I'm going to walk away.
Yeah. Because it happens so much that we have an issue and we don't resolve it.
Right.
Because we don't want to have these difficult conversations. And I say a lot of us are 3 to 7 tough conversations away from a different level of happiness.
And and confrontation is a good thing, right?
If you know how to manage it. So that book is
Beautiful.
great.
I love that you said that.
Yeah. How do you manage it? If it's high emotion, high stress, how do you tailor your message so that you understand what I'm trying to get across and you don't feel like I'm attacking you?
Right.
Because then I lose you. And now we're fighting. Now we're not arguing. So how do you have that dialogue when the stakes get really, really high?
So tell me that book again.
Crucial Conversations.
So Crucial Conversations. Okay.
That is a phenomenal one. If you want to talk about online strategies, there is a course that's called the Stage Academy by Vin Jiang. So Vin Jiang.
The Stage Academy?
Yeah,
Okay.
Stage Academy. He is phenomenal. He's a vocal coach, speaker coach. I've taken all the stuff. He is tremendous. And then the exercise that you talked about, I actually just finished up a Talk Like TED course that we did for real estate agents.
Okay, yeah.
And one of the exercises was to grab your phone, record yourself for 5 minutes, and then do what's called a 3-part review.
Okay.
So you do the video. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to turn it all the way up and you're going to put it face down. You're just going to listen.
Okay. To the video you just recorded?
Yep. And
Okay.
you're going to take notes. Right? What are the filler words? How is my speed? And we go over all this.
Because you may be your best critic,
course.
but you're also your best, what's the word I'm looking for? You can also dissect yourself the best probably too, right?
And when we talk about those things of pitch and tone and speed and melody, and are you do you have good flow? Do you pause? So once the students start learning all of those things,
the filler words,
yes,
and all that
then
stuff.
they hear themselves and they're like, oh man, I said like 67 times in 5 minutes.
Dude, you want to hear that story? Dude, I had this, I was on my Mormon mission, right? And I'm speaking and I get down and I'm like, that was probably the best time I've ever spoken. That was amazing. I loved it. I get down and there's this cool kid, man. His name's Cole, right? He's this mountain biker. He's this badass kid. He's like 13, 14. He's probably 14 years old. And he comes up to me and goes, hey, good job, Elder Merrill, And I'm like, oh, thanks, man. And he goes, but you said 92 times. I was like,
and
what?
you don't even notice it.
No clue,
You're sitting here
dude.
thinking you crushed it.
No clue. Yeah.
Yes. And we all know somebody that speaks like that, and it might be us. So a lot of it is just creating that awareness. What is your word? Are you a right person?
Right.
Are you like? Are you Are you but? So what is your thing? Do you say, you know what I'm talking about? You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so it's just becoming aware of those things. So that's number one. You just listen to it. Number two is you turn the volume all the way down and you watch yourself with no volume.
Body language.
Body language. What are you? Are you a flapper? Are you
Are you flailing?
What's happening, right?
Are you picking your nose, touching
Are you
your
playing
face?
with your clothes? Are people that are just here all
Do you
the
have
time?
a tick? Do you have a tick
Yeah.
you don't know about?
What
Yeah.
is it? And that is very telling as well. Like, some of us are just awkward. Like we don't know what to do with our hands. And
Right.
so it's very, very telling. And the last one is to get your video transcribed and read it
Okay.
with the filler words included.
So last one's transcribe it.
Last one is transcribe
that makes
it.
so much sense, dude.
And once you do that from just one 5-minute video, what you'll learn about yourself is tremendous. And now you have something to work on. Now you know. Now you have self-awareness. So now in your everyday conversations, you'll pick up on some of those things.
Which that's a great book because that was a Talk Like TED course, right? And that book, Talk Like TED,
That's a great one also.
is a phenomenal book. That's one of the ones that Syed recommended to me.
Talk Like TED is great.
Dude, I love that book. They go through all of the details of like, okay, let me show you this TED Talk, why it was so successful, so impactful. Let me show you this other one that the story was just as amazing, but not nearly as impactful because of the methods of communication.
And that's what it's all about. So it's just learning. Of course, giving a TED Talk is awesome. You want to have the greatest impact that you can have to the audience. What about your 7-year-old?
Right.
When he doesn't want to do his homework or he's getting bullied or something is happening, that conversation right there, you got to crush it, bro.
Oh, for sure. Because
You
that's
gotta
the
crush
most
it.
important one, right?
You got to crush it. Like you have to learn the skills when your daughter comes home and says, hey, I'm having this issue or whatever it is. Those are high stakes conversations. You as a parent, or even if you're not a parent with your spouse, your partner, whatever it is, you got to crush those.
If you can crush those personal high stakes conversations with your kids after school, after being bullied, you're going to absolutely kill it in business, right?
That's what it's all about. Like that is my focus. Yes, I can get you on a TEDx stage and that's phenomenal, but can you talk to your daughter?
Right.
Who was just offered weed or something?
Right.
I mean, very real
or
things.
porn,
Yes, or porn, or can you
yeah.
have the conversation when you think your spouse is cheating?
Right.
I mean, just very real life shit that if you mess up that conversation, if you don't know how to have it, it can get really ugly really fast.
When you talk about cheating, what was that TedX, the lady who did, what was her name? And she did the infidelity one.
I don't know.
She has the accent. Oh, dude, I'll send it to you.
Is that a good one?
Oh my gosh, dude. It helped me understand what infidelity really was. And it's not all about getting banged or, you know, like, I was like, holy cow, she makes such great points for both sides and people's needs and how they feel significance, how they feel loved. You know, a lot of the stuff that Tony Robbins talks about. Oh, dude, what is her name? I love this. I've watched it so many times, but she's got an accent, and I'll send it to you, dude.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like one of the coolest talks ever, even if you don't plan on infidelity in your relationship. It's still really good to learn.
It's not on your to-do list.
Right, exactly. It's still a really good thing to know because I think we misunderstand in our relationships, we misunderstand the purpose for certain things. And when I was able to listen to her outline why people cheat and how they cheat and what it's for and what they get out of it, I went, oh my gosh, this touches a lot of like pain centers for a lot of people. And I think that it's really important for people to understand.
Yeah. And there are conversations that unfortunately you might have to have that conversation at some point. Hopefully not, but you might have to. And when you have it, do you know how to handle it?
Yeah. Can you go into those gray matter conversations?
Yes, exactly. I mean, how does your partner receive your words? Because communication is it's so simple. It's just taking my thoughts, passing them on to you and trying to get you to have the same thoughts that I'm trying to convey. The problem is that if we don't understand how to communicate, the message gets twisted.
Right.
And now I'm thinking a certain thing. I'm thinking I'm conveying something to you, but you're receiving it completely different. Yeah. And that's where these misunderstandings occur.
And I think that happens a lot in our culture because we're such a hodgepodge of different cultures, right?
Yes.
And especially here in America, right? We have this just like cluster of different cultures. And specific, like from my perspective, my wife's from North Carolina. Okay. Dude, like small town North Carolina, right? I grew up in Southern California.
Okay. Completely different.
Big difference.
West Coast, East Coast. Yeah,
totally
huge
different.
Differences.
Totally different. We met here in Utah at a park. She's got this cute little accent. I think it's adorable, right? And she starts saying shit that I'm like, what did you, like, what? Like you say the simplest things so different, you know, than I do. Like the other night, like last night we're making a dinner together and she goes, hey, will you pull those? And I'm like, she's pointing to potatoes and has a pillar. Right?
Oh,
we pull those and I'm all, pull those.
Excuse me.
Yeah, right. What do you want me to do that poor potato?
Yeah.
Like,
leave the potato alone.
Right.
Lady.
Yes. What did the potato do to you? And she goes, no, pill the potatoes. Like,
peel. Okay.
Right?
There you go.
And she got, So I think a lot of times, you know, our communications get lost in translation.
Yep.
Even if we're from the same country originally, dude, even just the accents.
It's small things. It's small things. So I'm obsessed with this idea of helping as many people as I can improve their communication.
Right.
So that, I mean, you were talking about before that you do physical calls here live.
Yes. Right.
That's a huge skill set.
It's huge. Yeah.
It's a huge skill set. So whether it's in business, if you want to prospect, you want to lead gen, you want to speak, you want to do a commercial for your business.
Yeah, until I use those skills on my wife in an argument. She's like,
you got to be able to do it.
You're selling me. Yes, exactly.
So I've completely fallen in love with that with that concept. And it's been a lot of fun. It's been a lot of fun seeing people trim all the fat from their message because it's only 18 minutes. So it's concentrated, just straight IV of motivation, inspiration, and you cut out all the fluff, and what comes out is truly, truly remarkable.
I can see that you're highly passionate about this because ultimately it's one of the most important aspects of our lives is communication, right?
And the reason why I feel that way is from my childhood. So I'm the oldest of 4, and I grew up in a very conflictive household. My parents are completely different. Completely different. My mom is loud, curse words, throw stuff kind of person.
Okay.
My dad does not speak.
Okay.
He retreats silence. He does not engage.
Whoa.
And I'm the oldest of 4. So my parents never developed the ability to talk to each other. To this day, they cannot talk to each other.
Wow. That's pretty common, I think, a lot.
Yeah, it happens a lot. But I was the oldest of 4. So from the age of 6, 7, 8, 9, I would referee these fights. And so my mom would say, and it was, to me, it was fascinating that there was one event and my mom saw it one way and my dad saw it the complete opposite, the same event. And so I would have to referee these fights go with my mom, and they would talk to each other through me because I was the oldest. So mom would say, hey, tell your dad this, this, this. And then I'd go with dad, do the same thing. And I would pass these messages, and I was fascinated by the difference.
Even though it's the same conversation, they're still attaching different meanings to it, right?
Completely different. And so I was in that ecosystem for decades. And they would always fight about the same things because they never developed the ability to sit down and actually fix the issues. They couldn't communicate with each other. So they wasted 30 years of their life fighting over the same things that if they would have been able to have the crucial conversation, maybe they wouldn't have gotten divorced.
Right.
Maybe things would have been better.
That's true.
And I was in the thick of it. So I became obsessed with this idea of that is wild to me. How we're talking about the same thing, but these two could not be further apart.
Right. I had a scenario like that with my wife when we were we were just dating, right? And I had my little girl in the car and she goes, hey, you, and she got her Southern accent, right? Hey, that's not nice. Stop being ugly. And I'm like, the fuck? Did you just,
what did you say?
did you just call my child ugly? The hell? And I was like, hey, we don't call our kids ugly. Like what? And I'm thinking, this is a deal breaker for me, you know, like
get out of the car, lady.
And I came from a terrible previous marriage. So I was looking for every reason to cut her off as quick as I could. Right. But she's like, no, it means you're being mean, you know? And I'm like, I'm talking like it now. She goes, you're being mean. That means you're being mean. You're being ugly to someone. And I'm like, oh, where I come from, calling somebody ugly is
violent.
You're talking about their face. And that's fighting words, girl.
Yeah, those are fighting words.
And she goes, yeah, it's just a, you know, it's just,
normal.
It's
back
normal.
There.
We
it's
just
those nuances.
Stop being ugly.
Stop
you know?
being ugly.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm like, it's my little cute, beautiful daughter. Why are you talking to her like that, dude? You know?
Yeah. So I love that. I love that process of just learning how to communicate, learning how to adequately explain what you need to explain. If you're somebody that is, think about your life. If you're often in the situation where you said something and somebody completely misunderstands you.
Yeah.
If you're in that situation often, we always blame the other person. It's not the other person.
For sure.
It's
right.
you.
Yeah. You're the common denominator, right?
You're the one that cannot convey your ideas properly. So if you increase that skill, if you get better at that, you'll find yourself in less arguments. You'll find yourself less stress. If you go to the business sense, you won't have to sell so much,
right?
Because you can adequately convey value. I can tell you why I feel that my platform has value. I don't need to convince you, but that skill set has to exist, and I'm obsessed with helping people build it.
And in that to that tune, Grant Cardone calls that making people wrong. Like, stop making people wrong. Like, stop trying to find a reason that somebody's wrong. Start trying to be more inquisitive about what their perspective is.
100%.
And so, dude, that's cool. We could go on about freaking forever on this, couldn't we? This is awesome.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
Dude, so where can people find you at?
Yeah, social media, mostly Instagram. You can just search TonyAcosta.us is my English content.
Okay.
TonyAcosta.mx is my Spanish content. So if you want to go to TedX, we have one coming up in July, one in November. So just follow at TedX Timpview Drive, and we'll be around.
Beautiful, dude. Thank you so much, Tony Acosta, man, for being on, dude. I feel like I found a brother from another mother right now, dude.
I love that.
Dude, guys, thank you for watching another episode of Clozer Cult Podcast. We'll see you guys next time. Hit us up on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and all the goods. See you next time.